Dog threw himself in front of a car to save a baby, and what happened next stunned the entire community. The sun beat down on Highland Park, a vibrant neighborhood nestled in the heart of Los Angeles. Amidst the bustling streets and lively murals, a gentle soul named Max roamed, his tail wagging in rhythm with the city's pulse. Max, a golden Labrador with eyes as warm as the California sun, was the loyal companion of Jack, a kind-hearted man whose weathered hands told tales of a life well lived. Jack, a handyman with a heart of gold, had found Max abandoned in a park, a shivering pup with fear in his eyes. Despite his meager income, Jack didn't hesitate to take Max in, sharing his humble abode and his even humbler meals with the grateful canine. Their bond was one of silent understanding, a shared language of loyalty and love that transcended words. Every morning, Jack and Max would embark on their daily ritual, a leisurely stroll through the neighborhood, Max trotting happily beside Jack, his nose twitching with curiosity. Their route often took them past a quaint little park, a haven of green amidst the urban jungle. The park, perched atop a gentle slope, was a favorite spot for families, its playground echoing with the joyful shrieks of children. One sunny afternoon, as Jack and Max ambled past the park, their peaceful walk took an unexpected turn. A young mother, distracted by a phone call, momentarily let go of her baby stroller. The stroller, with its precious cargo, began to roll down the sloping path, picking up speed with every passing second. Max, his senses alert, noticed the runaway stroller before anyone else. A primal instinct surged within him, a deep-rooted urge to protect the vulnerable. Without a moment's hesitation, he broke free from Jack's grasp and darted towards the path, his powerful legs propelling him forward. The mother, her eyes widening in horror, screamed, her voice a desperate cry cutting through the cheerful chatter of the park. Time seemed to slow down as Max closed in on the stroller, his heart pounding in unison with the approaching danger. Just as the stroller reached the edge of the slope, teetering on the brink of disaster, Max leaped forward, his sturdy body intercepting the runaway carriage. The impact sent the stroller spinning, but it was no longer hurtling towards the busy street below. But the victory was short-lived. A car, unable to brake in time, slammed into Max, the screech of tires piercing the air. Max's body was thrown back, his yelps of pain echoing through the stunned silence that followed. The park, once a haven of joy, was now a scene of chaos and fear. The mother, her face pale with shock, rushed towards her unharmed child, tears streaming down her cheeks. Jack, his heart sinking with dread, knelt beside his beloved Max, his voice choked with emotion. "Max, hold on, boy. Please hold on," he pleaded, his rough hands gently stroking Max's whimpering form. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, an ambulance siren wailed in the distance, a beacon of hope in the face of tragedy. Max, his eyes filled with pain and confusion, looked up at Jack, his tail giving a weak thump against the pavement. The community of Highland Park, shaken by the day's events, held its breath, their hearts united in a silent prayer for the brave dog who had risked his life to save another. The wail of the ambulance siren grew louder, slicing through the tense silence that had enveloped the park. As the paramedics rushed to Max's side, a crowd gathered, their faces etched with worry and concern. Jack, his heart pounding in his chest, watched helplessly as they gently lifted Max onto a stretcher, his loyal companion's whimpers growing fainter with each passing moment. The ambulance sped away, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community united in their anxiety for Max's fate. Jack, his hands trembling, reached for his phone, his calloused fingers dialing the number for the nearest animal hospital. His voice, usually rough and gruff, was now laced with desperation as he inquired about Max's condition. The news was grim. Max had suffered multiple injuries, including a broken leg and internal bleeding. The veterinarian's words echoed in Jack's ears. "His condition is critical. We're doing everything we can, but we need to prepare for the worst." Jack's heart sank. Max, his faithful companion, his furry confidant, was fighting for his life. The thought of losing Max was unbearable, a pain that gnawed at his soul. He knew he had to be strong, for Max's sake, but the tears welled up in his eyes, blurring his vision. He made his way to the hospital, his steps heavy with worry. The waiting room was filled with anxious pet owners, their faces reflecting the same fear and uncertainty that gnawed at Jack's heart. He found a quiet corner and sank into a chair, his head bowed in prayer. Hours passed, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to Jack's hope. Finally, a veterinarian emerged from the operating room, his face etched with exhaustion but his eyes holding a glimmer of optimism. "Max is a fighter," he said, his voice weary but reassuring. "We managed to stabilize him, but he's not out of the woods yet. He needs surgery, and it's going to be a long road to recovery." Jack's heart leaped with a flicker of hope. Max was alive, and that was all that mattered at that moment. He listened intently as the veterinarian explained the details of Max's injuries and the complicated surgery required to repair them. The cost, however, was staggering, an amount far beyond Jack's meager means. A wave of despair washed over him. He was a simple handyman living paycheck to paycheck. How could he possibly afford such an exorbitant sum? He felt a surge of helplessness, his dreams of Max's recovery fading into the shadows of financial constraints. Just as his hope began to dwindle, a gentle hand touched his shoulder. He looked up to see Mrs. Rodriguez, his elderly neighbor, her eyes filled with compassion. "Jack," she said softly, "we heard about Max. The whole neighborhood is talking about his bravery. We're not going to let him down." Her words were like a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Mrs. Rodriguez explained that the community had started a fundraising campaign to cover Max's medical expenses. News of Max's heroic act had spread like wildfire, and people from all walks of life were eager to help. Jack's heart swelled with gratitude. He was not alone in this fight. The community, his extended family, had rallied around him and Max, their collective love and support forming a protective shield against despair. As the night wore on, Jack sat by Max's bedside, his rough hand gently stroking his companion's bandaged head. The rhythmic beeping of the machines filled the room, a symphony of life and hope. Max, still unconscious, lay peacefully, his chest rising and falling with each shallow breath. Jack whispered words of love and encouragement, his voice thick with emotion. He promised Max that they would get through this together, that their bond would emerge stronger from this ordeal. Outside, the city lights twinkled, casting a warm glow over the sleeping neighborhood. Inside the hospital, a silent vigil continued, fueled by love, hope, and the unwavering spirit of a community united in their admiration for a brave dog named Max. The morning sun cast long shadows across the bustling streets of Highland Park, but the usual vibrancy seemed muted, a somber undertone hanging in the air. News of Max's heroic act and his critical condition had spread throughout the neighborhood, leaving a trail of worry and concern in its wake. At the local coffee shop, the morning chatter was replaced by hushed whispers, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the scent of shared anxieties. Mrs. Rodriguez, her wrinkled face etched with worry, held court at her usual corner table, updating a group of concerned neighbors on Max's condition. "The vet said he's a fighter," she announced, her voice trembling slightly. "But the surgery is expensive and Jack, well, you know Jack. He'd give the shirt off his back for anyone, but he can barely make ends meet himself." A wave of determination swept through the group. These were the people of Highland Park, a community woven together by threads of resilience and compassion. They had seen Jack, with his quiet dignity and gentle spirit, struggle to make ends meet, yet always ready to lend a helping hand to those in need. Now it was their turn to give back, to support the man who had shown them the true meaning of selflessness. Ideas flew across the table, fueled by a shared desire to help. A bake sale, a car wash, a GoFundMe campaign, every suggestion was met with enthusiastic nods and a flurry of eager volunteers. The coffee shop, usually a hub of casual conversations, transformed into a buzzing hive of activity, a testament to the community's unwavering support for Jack and Max. Meanwhile, at the animal hospital, Jack sat by Max's bedside, his weathered face etched with exhaustion and worry. The surgery had been successful, but Max remained unconscious, his fate hanging in the balance. Jack's rough hand gently stroked Max's fur, his voice a low rumble of encouragement. "Come on, boy," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You can do this. We need you back home." He spent the day by Max's side, talking to him, reading to him, sharing stories of their daily walks and the friendly faces they encountered in the neighborhood. He spoke of the outpouring of support from the community, of the bake sales and car washes, of the children who had sent handmade cards with drawings of Max, his superhero cape fluttering in the wind. As the day wore on, a steady stream of visitors arrived at the hospital, their faces a mix of concern and hope. Mrs. Rodriguez brought a warm blanket and a thermos of Jack's favorite soup. The local baker, a burly man with a surprisingly gentle touch, delivered a basket of freshly baked treats for when Max wakes up. Even the young mother whose child Max had saved made an appearance, her eyes filled with gratitude and tears. She knelt beside Max's bed, her voice choked with emotion as she thanked him for his selfless act. "He's a true hero," she whispered, her hand gently touching Max's bandaged paw. "We owe him everything." Jack, his heart swelling with gratitude, watched as the community rallied around him and Max. He had always known the goodness of his neighbors, but the outpouring of love and support in this time of need was overwhelming. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the hospital room, a sense of cautious optimism filled the air. Max's breathing had become more regular, his vitals showing signs of improvement. The veterinarian, his face etched with fatigue but his eyes shining with hope, gave Jack a reassuring nod. "He's a tough one," he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "He's got a strong will to live, and with all this love and support, I think he's going to pull through." Jack's heart soared with hope. He knew the road to recovery would be long and arduous, but with the community by his side, he felt a renewed sense of strength and determination. He looked at Max, his loyal companion, his furry guardian angel, and whispered, "We're going to make it, boy. We're going to make it together." The news of Max's heroic act transcended the borders of Highland Park, carried on the wings of social media and local news reports. Images of the brave Labrador, his fur matted with blood, his eyes filled with a poignant mix of pain and determination, flashed across screens, capturing the hearts of people far and wide. The story resonated with a deep chord within the human spirit, a reminder of the unwavering loyalty and selfless love that animals are capable of. Donations poured in from across the city, the country, even from overseas, each contribution a testament to the power of Max's story to inspire and unite. The initial bake sale, organized by the ever-resourceful Mrs. Rodriguez, had turned into a full-fledged community fair. The aroma of freshly baked pies and cookies mingled with the sounds of laughter and music, creating a festive atmosphere that belied the underlying anxiety for Max's well-being. Children, their faces painted with colorful animal masks, ran around excitedly, their youthful energy a stark contrast to the quiet determination of the adults manning the various stalls. Local businesses donated their services, offering free haircuts, car washes, and even pet portraits, all proceeds going towards Max's mounting medical bills. The local newspaper ran a front-page story about Max, dubbing him the hero of Highland Park. The article, accompanied by a heartwarming photo of Jack and Max, brought tears to the eyes of many readers, further fueling the wave of support for the injured canine. Even the local high school got involved, organizing a charity basketball game, the proceeds of which were donated to Max's cause. The gymnasium, usually filled with the roar of cheering fans, echoed with a different kind of energy, a collective spirit of compassion and unity. Jack, overwhelmed by the outpouring of support, found himself at the center of this whirlwind of kindness. The quiet handyman who had always preferred the company of his dog to the clamor of crowds was now the recipient of an unprecedented wave of affection and generosity. He attended the community fair, his weathered face etched with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. He shook hands with strangers, accepted hugs from teary-eyed children, and listened to countless stories of how Max's bravery had touched their hearts. "He's more than just a dog," a young woman said, her voice trembling with emotion. "He's a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's still good in the world." Jack, his heart swelling with pride, looked at the bustling crowd, the smiling faces, the shared sense of purpose. He realized that Max's story had done more than just raise money for his medical expenses. It had woven a stronger fabric of community, a tapestry of compassion and unity that would forever bind the people of Highland Park. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the festive scene, Jack retreated to the quiet sanctuary of the animal hospital. He sat by Max's bedside, sharing stories of the day's events, the laughter, the tears, the overwhelming sense of love that had enveloped their little corner of the world. Max, still unconscious, lay peacefully, his bandaged body a testament to his bravery. But Jack could sense a change in his companion, a subtle shift in his energy. It was as if Max, even in his slumber, was aware of the love and support that surrounded him, drawing strength from the collective goodwill of a community that had embraced him as one of their own. Days turned into weeks, and the sterile white walls of the animal hospital became a familiar backdrop to Jack's life. He spent every waking moment by Max's side, his presence a constant source of comfort and reassurance to the recovering canine. Max, though still weak and groggy from the surgery, was showing remarkable progress. His once dull eyes now held a spark of recognition, his tail giving a feeble thump against the bed whenever Jack entered the room. The veterinarian, a young woman with a warm smile and a gentle touch, was cautiously optimistic. "He's a fighter," she'd say, her voice filled with admiration. "His spirit is incredible, and with your unwavering support, he's overcoming every obstacle." The community's support continued unabated. The GoFundMe campaign had surpassed all expectations, raising enough funds to cover not only Max's surgery but also his ongoing rehabilitation. Cards and letters poured in from all corners of the globe, each one a testament to the impact Max's story had had on people's lives. Jack, overwhelmed by the outpouring of love, took to reading the messages aloud to Max, his voice thick with emotion. He shared stories of children who had donated their allowance, of elderly couples who had sent their retirement savings, of people from all walks of life who had been touched by Max's selfless act. "You're a hero, Max," he'd whisper, his rough hand gently stroking Max's fur. "You've brought so much good into the world." The rehabilitation process was slow and arduous, filled with small victories and frustrating setbacks. Max, his once powerful legs now weakened and unsteady, had to relearn how to walk, his every step a testament to his resilience. Jack, with unwavering patience, guided him through each exercise, his voice a constant source of encouragement. "Come on, boy," he'd say, his voice firm but gentle. "You can do it, one step at a time." And Max, with his unwavering trust in his human companion, would push through the pain, his eyes fixed on Jack, his tail wagging with determination. The days were filled with physiotherapy sessions, hydrotherapy swims, and endless walks around the hospital grounds. Jack, his own body aching with fatigue, never wavered in his support, his love for Max fueling his every action. As the weeks passed, Max's strength gradually returned. He began to walk with more confidence, his tail wagging with renewed vigor. The spark in his eyes grew brighter, his playful spirit re-emerging from the depths of his ordeal. The veterinarian, witnessing Max's remarkable progress, finally gave the green light for him to return home. Jack, his heart overflowing with joy, prepared for their reunion. His humble apartment transformed into a haven of comfort and love. The day Max came home was a celebration in itself. The neighborhood children lined the streets, waving homemade banners and showering Max with treats. Mrs. Rodriguez, her eyes brimming with tears, presented Max with a new collar, a symbol of his hero status. Jack, his arm around Max's neck, beamed with pride. He looked at the smiling faces, the joyful tears, the outpouring of love that surrounded them, and knew that they had come full circle. Max, the brave dog who had risked his life to save another, had not only recovered but had also brought a community together, his story a testament to the enduring power of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. Life with Max back home was a balm to Jack's soul. The familiar rhythm of their daily walks, the comforting weight of Max's head resting on his lap in the evenings, the shared joy of simple pleasures. These were the threads that rewove the fabric of their companionship, stronger and more vibrant than before. But beneath the surface of their newfound happiness lurked a shadow, a lingering fear that gnawed at Jack's peace of mind. Max, despite his remarkable recovery, was not the same dog he had been before the accident. A subtle limp remained, a constant reminder of the trauma he had endured. His once boundless energy was now tempered with a cautious hesitancy, his playful spirit occasionally clouded by moments of introspection. Jack, ever vigilant, noticed these subtle changes, his heart clenching with worry. He consulted the veterinarian, his voice laced with concern, but was met with reassurances and a gentle reminder that healing took time, both physically and emotionally. Yet the doubt lingered, a persistent whisper in the back of his mind. Was Max truly happy? Was he still suffering, hiding his pain behind those soulful brown eyes? The questions haunted Jack, casting a pall over their otherwise idyllic existence. One evening, as Jack and Max were enjoying their usual stroll through the park, a group of children approached, their faces alight with excitement. They had followed Max's story in the local newspaper, their young minds captivated by the tale of the heroic canine. "Can we pet him, mister?" a little girl asked, her eyes wide with admiration. Jack, his heart swelling with pride, nodded, watching as the children gathered around Max, their gentle touch a testament to the love and respect they held for the brave dog. But as one of the boys reached out to pet Max's head, the dog flinched, a low growl rumbling in his throat. The boy, startled, drew back his hand, his face etched with confusion. Jack, his heart sinking, felt a wave of apprehension wash over him. This was not the Max he knew, the gentle giant who had always welcomed affection with open paws. "He's just a little tired," Jack explained, his voice strained. "He's had a long day." The children, sensing the tension, slowly dispersed, their youthful exuberance replaced by a quiet understanding. Jack, his heart heavy with worry, watched them go, his gaze lingering on Max, who stood motionless, his eyes fixed on the retreating figures. That night, as Jack lay in bed, sleep eluded him. The image of Max flinching at the boy's touch replayed in his mind, a haunting reminder of the invisible scars that lingered beneath the surface. He tossed and turned, his thoughts a whirlwind of doubt and fear. Was Max truly healed? Or was he carrying a burden of trauma, a hidden pain that threatened to shatter their newfound peace? The questions gnawed at Jack's soul, leaving him with a sense of helplessness and despair. He knew he had to do something, to find a way to help Max overcome his hidden demons. But how? Where did he even begin? The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, threatening to crush his fragile hope. As the first rays of dawn crept through the window, casting a pale light across the room, Jack made a decision. He would seek help, professional help, for Max. He would find the best animal therapist, someone who could understand the depths of Max's trauma and guide him towards true healing. He rose from the bed, a renewed sense of determination filling his heart. He would not let fear and doubt win. He would fight for Max, just as Max had fought for him, for their bond, for the future they had so nearly lost. The search for the right therapist led Jack to Dr. Emily Carter, a renowned animal behaviorist with a reputation for her compassionate approach and deep understanding of animal psychology. Her clinic, nestled amidst a tranquil garden, exuded an aura of calm and reassurance, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the animal hospital. Dr. Carter, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, listened patiently as Jack poured out his concerns, his voice thick with emotion. She observed Max, noting his subtle cues, the hesitant movements, the occasional flicker of anxiety in his eyes. "He's carrying the weight of his experience," she explained, her voice soft but firm. "He's safe now, but his mind hasn't fully caught up. We need to help him process his trauma, to understand that he's no longer in danger." And so began Max's journey towards emotional healing. Dr. Carter employed a combination of play therapy, desensitization techniques, and confidence-building exercises, all designed to help Max regain his trust in the world and rediscover his playful spirit. Jack, an active participant in the therapy sessions, learned to recognize Max's subtle cues, to anticipate his anxieties, and to offer reassurance and support. He rediscovered the depths of their bond, the unspoken language of love and understanding that transcended words. The sessions were not without their challenges. There were days when Max would regress, his fear and anxiety resurfacing, his body trembling with the echoes of past trauma. But Dr. Carter, with her unwavering patience and gentle guidance, helped Max navigate these difficult moments, reminding him of his strength and resilience. Gradually, Max began to respond. The fear in his eyes subsided, replaced by a growing sense of confidence. His playful spirit reemerged, his tail wagging with renewed enthusiasm. He began to engage in the therapy exercises with a newfound zest, his body relaxing into the comforting touch of Jack's hand. One afternoon, during a play session in the garden, a breakthrough occurred. Max, chasing after a brightly colored ball, suddenly froze, his body tense, his eyes wide with fear. A group of children had entered the garden, their laughter echoing through the air. Jack, his heart sinking, braced himself for Max's retreat. But instead of flinching, Max turned towards him, his eyes seeking reassurance. Jack, his voice filled with encouragement, knelt beside him, his hand gently stroking Max's fur. "It's okay, boy," he whispered. "They're just playing. You're safe now." Max, his body trembling slightly, took a hesitant step forward, his gaze fixed on the children. Then, to Jack's surprise, he let out a playful bark and bounded towards them, his tail wagging with abandon. The children, delighted by Max's sudden enthusiasm, welcomed him into their game, their laughter mingling with his joyful barks. Jack, watching this heartwarming scene, felt a wave of relief wash over him. Max had finally let go of his fear, embracing the joy of the present moment. As the weeks turned into months, Max continued to blossom. The shadows of doubt faded, replaced by a newfound sense of peace and confidence. He had not only healed physically, but had also emerged emotionally stronger, his spirit unbroken, his love for life undimmed. Jack, witnessing Max's transformation, felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had faced his own fears, his own doubts, and had emerged from the darkness with a renewed appreciation for the precious gift of their companionship. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with challenges and setbacks. But through it all, their bond had deepened, their love for each other a beacon of light guiding them towards a future filled with hope, healing, and the unwavering joy of shared moments.